guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So, I was just watching a video actually from the YouTube channel Gaming Off the Grid, and they were having a discussion about the physical media that's literally disappearing off the shelves. And now, physical I mean video games, of course, but not just video games. There's a lot of other physical media that disappears off the shelf. And they were talking a little bit about the differences and maybe the physical versus the digital. And I thought that that's an interesting topic because, I've kind of talked about this before. Obviously, I'm a fan of physical media. I got all the video games behind me there. I like the physical cartridges. I like the boxes. I like the video games that come in, I like to collect the games. And, I don't have a huge box collection. Again, I've talked about this in a previous video about, the whole thing about boxes and sealed boxes and all that stuff. But at the same time, I do love the physical media. I've never really liked or got on board with this digital download stuff. Now, obviously, you can't avoid it. It's happening. And what they were talking about was going into stores, going into like Best Buys and Walmarts and all that stuff, and seeing nothing. Like going down an aisle and seeing empty shelves where the video games would normally be. And that got me thinking about how, I used to love doing that, and now I hardly ever. Usually when I'm in a Walmart now, if I'm picking up some stuff, I always think about it in the back of my head, should I go and check out the electronics? But I know there's not going to be anything there for me. And that's due in part to the fact that, not just because they're disappearing, but I'm not really too much into the modern games. Now, I do have the Nintendo Switch, and I've bought a few physical copies of the games for the Switch. I've bought The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and a few here and there. And then after that, I just started downloading because I just thought, what's the difference? A lot of these games, like the little tiny things that they give you for the Switch anyways, there's nothing really there. It's just a little tiny card. And I thought, well, whatever. And it kind of is annoying too that you realize you have to pay the same amount of money for the physical copy. It's just that little extra step that I can just download it right onto my Switch. I don't have to keep taking those little cards out and replacing them. But, I mean, at the same time, it's kind of a shame because I always liked having that physical copy. And then you think about it, like, if we move to a point where the physicals are literally gone, there's no more physicals, how do these games get passed on? How do the memories keep going? If you have to download it and then put it onto a device that probably not going to last very long. I mean, we know that these modern systems don't have a long shelf life. Like, just think about how many Xbox whatever's 360s, the older ones, the first generation Xbox, probably don't even work anymore. And they require internet, you have to download, you have to update the firmware, you got to do all this stuff. And in 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, is all this stuff still going to work? Probably not. A lot of these physical games won't even exist. You're going to have to find... I don't know what's going to happen with the nostalgia of kids. And that's another thing. That's one thing that they brought up. There is something magical about opening a video game. You have to get a video game for Christmas. You'd always know it was a game. It was like wrapped in a certain... You would see the shape of it, whether it was a Nintendo game. This is obviously in television. And I always knew the shape of the Intellivision box, especially when I was a kid. So I knew when something like this was wrapped up, I was like, oh, a new Intellivision game. I can't wait. And, that was like a special magical moment. Where are you going to get that when all the games are download? You're going to get a card. You're going to get a little plastic card that says, here, download, go to this website, put in this code. I mean, are kids going to keep these things as mementos in the future and be like, hey, I got my download card my grandma got me for Christmas back in 2020? I don't think that's going to happen. And not only that, a lot of these games, like I said, are often aren't even complete games, or they require lots and lots and lots of, patches, and you have to download more stuff. And Um, even just the stuff you have to pay for, the upgrades. I forgot what they're called now. It's not hitting my brain right now. But yeah, you know, you have to pay money to do anything, and I'm starting to notice that a lot with the games that my daughter plays. She plays a lot of the games on her phone and on her iPad and stuff like that, and a few on the Switch as well. But a lot of the stuff that she plays, it's like, you know, these games today are like, you get a very little portion of it, and then you have to start giving them money to make the game better, or whatever, or they have to play and generate. I don't think it's experience, or I don't know what half the time she's doing, but you know, you have to interact, you have to go find things. Where are these games going to be in the future? You know, are they going to have any nostalgia values at all? Are things like Roblox and Minecraft and all that stuff, are they going to be available? Are kids going to be able to, in the future, say, you know, I remember when I was 13 playing this game called Roblox. I wish I could play it again, but it's not going to exist. It's not. There's not going to be a shelf. There's not going to be a physical cartridge that says Roblox. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I guess in the future, if a lot of this stuff has to remain, or if they want it to remain, somehow there's going to have to be a server or a device or something that'll still allow you to play it. Kind of like what we have now with emulators. We have, you know, the Stella emulator to play Atari. We have a few Nintendo emulators. We have those Raspberry Pis or whatever. You can do a lot. There's a lot of ways to emulate today to play the old games. So you can play pretty much any Intellivision game, any Nintendo game you want from the past, of course. You can play these on, you know, these devices or download it on your computer. And these will always kind of stick around because they're ROMs. We know we pass them on to each other. But what's going to happen in the future, especially today's games like for the PlayStation 5 and stuff like that, how are these games going to exist? Now, of course, there's still a small amount of them, as I'm saying this, that are CDs, you know, physical CDs. But I know that those are going away. And that was another thing, not just video games, but everything is going into digital. CDs for music. I have one here. This is Spinal Tap. This was their Back from the Dead album. You know, Spinal Tap's a band that's pretty much, well, fictional band, but they're a real band. They're real actual musicians, but they're actors, and they portray themselves in this manner. They had movies, if you're not familiar. But anyways, the point I'm getting at is I ended up buying this because I thought it was cool. It was off the shelf. And you know, you get the whole, all this stuff that they give you in there. There was like this whole cutout cardboard thingy. I think I just ripped it. And of course inside you get the CDs and you get the physical copy of the disc. And there was like a few other albums that you know, I wanted to have, and I'm starting to notice that a lot of this stuff is getting harder and harder to find. You know, without me going on Amazon and you know, whatever, or eBay, even the malls in my area, a lot of them had a music store and they've just disappeared. They're gone. There's one mall that we always go to. It's one of those expensive malls. It's a high-end mall, and they had one music store in there, one. And that one music store just closed about 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago. My wife was there. She came home. She's like, yeah, the store's gone. And I'm like, but that was the only store I like going into. They had CDs. They had some nostalgia stuff. They had some, you know, retro video game memorabilia stuff. But more importantly, they had CDs. And I liked the physical CD. I liked to buy it. Yeah, I'm old school. You know, the only time I play the CD anyways is in my car. Because I do have my phone with iTunes on it and stuff, and I put some albums on there, but I find it frustrating to use. I find it frustrating to have to plug in my phone, go through the menu screen, find the album I want, click on it, and then, you know, if my phone rings, there goes the music, or, you know, if I stop the car, I have to turn off the iPod, the iPhone, so it's kind of annoying to me. Whereas a CD, I bought the latest Megadeth album, which I love. It's a really great album. and I put it in, I leave it in my car. So when I turn on my car, the music starts up, and there you go. And I've been struggling to find other bands that, physical media. And then, of course, the same as with movies. We're stuck in a streaming world. We're literally watching movies on Netflix, on Apple TV, on Prime, on, 100,000 streaming services. But where are you ever going to find a physical copy if you really love that movie? I have no idea. I've gone into, even Best Buy, I've gone in there, and it's like their movie section is so small. Like I said, the music store that I always went into and had movies gone. So I'm like, I don't know. What are we going to do? I mean, obviously the old stuff will always still kick around, but where are we going to get the new stuff? And what's for the future? And I know I've kind of talked about this before, but it's a fun topic. Anyways, I'd like to hear what you have to say. I'm going to leave a link below for the Gaming Off the Grid, their video where they go a little bit more in depth and talk about it, especially on the whole thing of them disappearing off the shelves. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe. We'll talk to you later.